Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
So do you ever think you'll own an electric vehicle, an EV, as they say?
No.
Why not, John? Do you not care about climate change, young man?
Well, from some of the scientists that I've read, it's a farce.
As
No.
you're telling me it's a lie?
Yeah, some of it, most of it, 99% of it.
Yeah. Did you hear yesterday Chicago's suing 5 petroleum
Yeah,
oil
I saw
companies because they're comparing it to the tobacco industry,
Yeah.
saying that, it's harming consumers and killing people.
Yeah.
And that's what the oil refineries are doing.
All the gas they releasing from their own mouths is what's killing us.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. What? All the
All
what?
the BS that they're pushing out. That's what's destroying us.
Okay.
These idiot leaders that we have and their policies.
And they don't care about us.
No,
All
they
right,
don't.
well, we're getting word that the Biden administration is considering delaying its onerous EV mandate past 2030. And with more on that, let's welcome to the program. I do believe this is her first time here. Elaine Parker, JCN Chief Communications Officer. How are you doing? Good morning, Mrs. Parker.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Or is it Ms. Parker? I don't know, but we'll just call you Elaine Parker. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah, well, it looks like the Biden administration has blinked in the face of widespread opposition across the political spectrum. Last year, as you mentioned, the Biden administration had proposed new rules to make 2/3 of all vehicle sales electric by 2032. Very aggressive. And they heard from everybody, basically in opposition to it. They heard from the auto industry, which pleaded with them to tap the brakes. They heard from the labor unions, which expressed fierce opposition because they can see the writing on the wall when it comes to their jobs. They heard from dealers who said, we can't sell these things.
Yeah.
They're sitting on our lot. We've got 6 to 12 months of inventory. And they heard from our small business owners through our polling that showed 70% of small business owners opposed the EV mandates. So the lesson here is never underestimate the power of the people to change bad policies.
But some people swear by their EVs. They love them.
Well, so I agree. I'm glad. I'm a free market person, and I believe that that consumers should have more choice and more competition. That makes products better, right? That's what our system is made up of. The problem I have with the EV market and the government stepping in is these mandates and the tax subsidies that go along with the EVs distort the market. I think that it should fall under the same economic realities and the same free market pressures that every other industry falls under. And that means providing choice and competition and the best product and the best quality and the best price for the consumers, and let the consumers choose. We don't have that right now with EVs. We have dealers that are losing money, auto manufacturers that are losing money, and most importantly, taxpayers that are losing money on all of these subsidies. The only entity that invests in a losing business model is our government. And just think the post office versus FedEx. The post office loses billions a year. FedEx is profitable.
Yeah.
And yet we continue investing in the post office.
When was the last time you went to a post office, Elaine? I think
Exactly.
I went 2 weeks ago, as I had to mail some chocolates to my mom that I got in France.
Oh, gosh.
And nobody was there. It was like there's no lines anymore. You just walk in and do
Depends
your
on
thing.
where you're at.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Manuka, small town like mine, it's crowded.
So we had this. I don't know where you're staying in the country or where you're living right now, but we had a horrible cold snap, and a lot of people with electronic vehicles were left out in the cold, and they could not charge their Teslas and their other electronic vehicles.
Yeah, I did see those reports. They did make national news. Yeah, there are issues with the range of these batteries, the charging capacity, the price of the vehicle is obviously exceptionally high, and the reliability in cold climates like that. I happen to be in Florida, so that part's not going to be an issue for us. But the infrastructure to support the EVs, I have a friend who has an EV, and I actually just recently learned a little bit more about them than I knew. You really are buying into inconvenience. And if that's what you want to do, then again, consumer's choice. I'm supportive of that. But you can't just go charge your EV whenever you want. You have to actually let the battery run all the way down before you charge it back up. So every time you get in the car, you're actually thinking, where's my next charge? Where's my next charge? And then once you get to that point where you're charging it, you have to stay in the car with it.
Right,
You can't
and you
just
to wait. Like I had a sorry for interrupting, but I had a Uber driver with an EV. He said he has to wait in the car for 30 minutes, and one time he fell asleep while he was charging his car, and he got a $200 bill.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I'm just not the consumer who wants to buy into that inconvenience right now. But there is a group of people, a population that wants it. It's
Right.
just a very small population right now. As the technology gets better, maybe that will change. But I still think that we shouldn't be subsidizing an industry like this and letting the government pick winners and losers. I mean, we had that with Solyndra. This is actually Solyndra on steroids.
That's true. But the minority running everything, sounds so familiar in American politics, doesn't it? No, but I am for an all of the above approach. I really am. I told you, Amy, I used to sit on the energy committee when I was a state rep here in Illinois. So I get it. I understand it. But I'm thinking back now, and this may be this part joke but part serious. I mean, that movie we just saw, Leave the World Behind, when with the EV vehicles just slamming into each other.
Well, they have that self-driving mechanism.
But what I'm saying is, you have this fast movement towards everything becoming either electric or digitized, or, I mean, look at what Gavin Newsom is doing. He want stoves without all electric stoves in the houses, no gas imprints, right? You look at
we're
what's
doing
happening,
that in Chicago.
and we're doing here
for
in Chicago,
new construction, yes.
Right? But my thing is, what about the control mechanisms? Are we safe if we go to an all electric grid? And can the grids maintain the pull from being all electric? That's a lot there. Did we lose her?
No, I'm here.
Oh.
I'm here. The grid, I mean, it's clear that right now the grid cannot support this aggressive move towards all electric. And I'm sure many of us have grandparents and parents who do not want to give up their gas stoves. But it's not a stretch as you see this aggressive move towards all electric to imagine a rationing process due to an insufficient power grid if we do this too fast. And we already kind of saw how the government decides who's essential and who's not essential during COVID, right? Yep. So imagine this rationing process. If our grid can't support what our government is trying to force down our throats so quickly and so aggressively, who's more important? When I wake up in the morning, am I more important than my neighbor for going to work? Is it our government officials that are the most important to go to work? Who's the most important here, and who gets to decide? So those are all issues that people probably haven't thought a lot about. But that goes beyond just the cost of the car, the infrastructure, the cost of replacing the battery. It can be as much as $20,000. I mean, there's a lot of downside to this. Again, I am all about all of the above and free market forces, but that's not what's happening here.
But I don't want government to be able to basically turn off my stove, or because I think it's going to get to that point with the smart televisions,
unless Trump's reelected.
Yeah, I don't think it's now. I don't think it's going to happen now. I think that's. I mean, you never know. I'm sure the technology exists, but I'm really not a conspiracy theorist. I promise you, I am not. But when you look at what they've been able to do, and I think COVID was a trial run for a lot of things to see how much the American people or the world would take from government leaders, and how compliant we would be. How compliant we would be. That, I mean, is that reasonable, or am I just way out there in Twilight Land?
Well, look, I think people really did feel like they lost a lot of freedoms. I mean, they were told their children couldn't go to school. They were told they had to wear masks. They were told whether or not they could open their businesses. They were told whether or not they could go to restaurants. And I think that the large majority of Americans didn't like that. Now, with EVs, I don't think that any of this means that people don't like electric vehicles and they're not in favor of sustainability. Again, I'm probably not going to be a consumer of an EV because of the inconvenience factor that I see. But I think what it means is they're not against EVs, they're against mandates.
That's right.
Yep.
Americans don't want to be told what to do.
I want choice.
That's true.
For sure. All right, Elaine Parker, we're going to have to leave it there for today. She is the JCN Chief Communications Officer. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have you back soon. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
She didn't answer the question.
Your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, and I want to talk to you about your unused basement rec rooms. We all had them back in the 60s and 70s with jukeboxes, pinballs, and slot machines, Coca-Cola signs, and even gas pumps. We all had a great time in those days, but fast forward, and I'll bet you haven't gone down there in years. That's where I can help by turning those items into cash through Donnelly Auctions. We have thousands of customers online eager to bid on your items, and it's easier than you might think. Just give me a call at 815-923-7000, and I'll make those items fit in your wallet. Look us up online at DonnellyAuctions.com to see all of the items that we can sell for you. Give me a call today at 815-923-7000, and don't forget to check out the Donnelly Auctions Hour Saturdays at 1 o'clock on AM 560. Subscribe and check out the podcast too. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
It's not your windows, it's your attic.